Well,
I'm sorry that your father abandoned you, truly.
Rory Morningstar's story in Lucifer was one of pain, redemption, and finding unexpected purpose. Throughout Season 6, the show delves into the mystery of why Lucifer abandoned her, and by the series' end, Rory understands the reasons behind his decision. However, even after that, there's still a lot of untapped potential for Rory's character beyond the finale. A potential Netflix miniseries could be the perfect way to continue her journey, exploring what comes next for her, especially her relationship with her celestial heritage and how she navigates life beyond the shadow of her father's legacy. There are some rumors circulating that this miniseries could picture the events of Lucifer, showing Rory's life long after Chloe's passing. Despite accepting Lucifer's reasons for abandoning her, Rory still carries the emotional burden of his absence. She remains torn between her mortal side and her celestial inheritance, a conflict that shapes her identity. Like her father, Rory is naturally rebellious, but she also shares his deep sense of justice. This raises the question, could Rory, like Lucifer before her, feel drawn toward a higher purpose? A purpose that forces her to balance between right and wrong, good and evil? This theme could be explored as Rory struggles to find her own path, all while grappling with her heritage. Another fascinating aspect of a potential miniseries could be Rory's unique abilities. As a half-angel, half-human being, she has powers that others in her position don't. In Lucifer, we saw Rory discover her time travel abilities, initially driven by grief and anger. But now that she's had time to understand her powers, what else could she do with them? With her celestial bloodline, Rory might be called to take on a new mission, perhaps protecting souls caught between heaven and hell. Unlike Lucifer, whose focus was on redeeming the damned, Rory could work to prevent people from falling into darkness in the first place. She could become an unseen guardian, visiting people at their most vulnerable moments and subtly nudging them toward better decisions. But would this make her an agent of God or a rogue celestial following her own path? This internal struggle could serve as a central theme of the miniseries, with Rory trying to avoid the mistakes of both Lucifer and God while finding her own way forward. Additionally, the groundwork laid by Lucifer's decision to heal the souls of hell could come into play. While groundbreaking, his actions were not without consequences. The system of damnation and redemption had existed for centuries, and change doesn't always come easily. The miniseries could introduce a new celestial threat, perhaps an angel who believes that hell should remain a place of eternal punishment. This antagonist could view Rory as a threat to the cosmic order and might attempt to remove her from the equation altogether. Maybe this villain is an archangel or an ancient demon, someone who believes that Rory's existence is an anomaly that must be corrected. As Rory actively interferes with the workings of heaven and hell, she might be seen as a disruptor of the delicate balance between the two realms. The antagonist could try to manipulate Rory into believing that she doesn't belong in either realm, forcing her to fight for her place in the cosmos. Even though Rory accepted Lucifer's reasons for leaving, their relationship still feels unresolved in many ways. A miniseries could explore what happens when Rory finally decides to visit him in hell, perhaps centuries after their last meeting. What kind of person has Lucifer become during his time as hell's therapist? Does he still carry the guilt of his past actions, or has he found peace? The dynamic between Rory and Lucifer could shift from resentment to mutual understanding, with Lucifer offering guidance as Rory navigates her celestial existence, just as he once did for Amenadiel. At the same time, Rory could challenge Lucifer to step outside the confines of hell and witness the world he left behind. This interaction could become an emotional high point in the series, offering fans some much-needed closure on their complex relationship. Amenadiel, who now rules as God, could play an important role in Rory's journey. He might see Rory as someone who bridges the gap between heaven and hell, someone who embodies both sides of divinity. Would he try to recruit her as an agent of heaven, or would he respect her need for independence? Maze, as a demon who once sought a soul, could also serve as a mentor figure. Maze understands what it means to carve out one's own destiny, and she could help Rory embrace her darker side. However, Maze could also warn Rory about the costs of revenge and anger, offering her hard-won wisdom. Their relationship could evolve into a sibling-like bond, one that pushes both characters to grow and learn from each other. Since Rory has the ability to travel through time, the miniseries can introduce a broader concept involving timeline anomalies. Perhaps some of the souls Lucifer redeemed in hell weren't meant to be saved, or their redemption has caused ripples that alter the course of history. Rory might start encountering these anomalies, meeting historical figures who escaped hell but now exist in a world that isn't prepared for them. This could lead to a deep philosophical dilemma. If some people were always meant to suffer for their sins, is it right to undo that fate? Rory might find herself torn between her father's idealism and the harsh realities of what happens when too many souls cheat fate. At its core, a Lucifer miniseries focusing on Rory would explore themes of choice. Rory's life has been defined by paradoxes. She was born from an impossible union, grew up surrounded by anger and loss, and yet still found love for her father. But where does she go from here? Does she continue her mission to protect souls, or does she choose to live a more human life as her mother once did? The miniseries could end with Rory making a decision that neither Lucifer nor Chloe ever did, choosing herself. Whether that means staying in the celestial realm, returning to the mortal world, or something in between, her final choice would represent the defining moment of her legacy. A Netflix miniseries about Rory would be a perfect continuation of the themes established in Lucifer, themes like redemption, identity, and free will. With a mix of celestial politics, emotional depth, and supernatural action, the show could carve out its own identity while still staying true to the spirit of the original series. It could give fans closure while also opening up new possibilities, showing that the Devil's Daughter has her own unique story to tell. However, before jumping into production, it might be wise to give fans some time to miss the show a bit. Waiting for the right moment could make the potential project even more appealing, especially if the creators decide to take it in an exciting new direction. If they do decide to move forward with a Rory-focused miniseries, there's a real opportunity to create something fresh while still honoring the essence of Lucifer. Whether it's a miniseries, a full-length show, or even a movie, the potential is huge. But for now, fans can only wait and see if Netflix or the showrunners make it happen. In the meantime, we'll keep dreaming about what could be, and of course, rewatching Lucifer. And that's a wrap for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Drop your suggestions for future videos in the comments below.